Good day, and welcome to another installation of the Many Things IT podcast. Today is a special day. We are joined by an amazing guest, um, Mr. Melusi. Thank you for hitting the call. Looking forward to having a great conversation. Sylvia, do you want to just say hi before we kick off?
Hi everyone, and hi Melusi. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, so
Thank you, Melusi. Before I open up floor for you, and we can go as far as time permits, I noticed it's a bit difficult getting like your info on social media. Is that by design?
not really, not really. I'm a part of it, correct, but not that it's by design. I try not to be too much on social media.
Okay, and in the absence of social media, we will rely on you to give a proper introduction.
My narrative.
Oh. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I won't mention organizations, I hope. But my name is Melusi. As you've mentioned, I'm an IT professional, been in industry for a very long time, probably 20 years and more now. Started from the bottom as system admin, got as far as being in the leadership of IT. I think that's the most important thing about me. Just live, breathe, gonna die probably IT.
Nice. So you say, I know you're not going to mention organizations, but how many?
I think about 5 now. Yeah, this should be my 5th one.
Okay.
And that tells them about to retire, should retire.
And I know humble beginnings, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Humble beginnings. Maybe please just take us to that.
Oh yeah. It's very humble, yes, because I went into my high school. I finished my high school in one of the rural schools in the country. There were no computers during our time. In fact, the whole mention of a computer was just bizarre. There was no chance for a kid like me to even dream of computers. I think the first time I heard there was something like a computer was when I was doing my high school Form 5, just about to write exams. We were trying to figure out what kind of career we can have. My head teacher at the time started talking about the kind of careers that are out there. I mean, can you imagine that at Form 5 you still really don't know exactly what you want to do and have to do in life?
So all of us.
I consider it very unfortunate because I think for other kids, they get that proper guidance as early as, I mean, we probably know our cousins, our kids now, they talk about their careers, and during our times, that was not even a conversation that you want to have with your parents. It was just about you just have to have a degree and complete a degree. That is the conversation. But what degree do you like? What you're going to be doing was just not the kind of conversation that you would have. So I started from there. Obviously, when I passed, got enough grades to get me to university. And it's so funny. It's the high school.
Yeah. Very rural. It sounds like a very vague description.
It is very rural. It's a Vimbewa High School. Just outskirts of Manzini, past Liengo, on your way to Gandinda or MP. You see all these words that I'm mentioning, quite rural.
Yeah,
in fact, you probably
probably
don't even know.
Lost me at Manzini. Lost me at Manzini.
Do you know Liengo?
Yeah, I do.
There's a varsity there, you should know. And then on your way to Mankayan, the old road to Mankayan, and then you turn left and you a couple of kilometers, about 18 kilometers from there, it's a high school called Mbimbewa High School. Very rural, but it was then. Now it's a little bit more of a upcoming community. So there's electricity during our times. There's not even I mean, our whole high school they didn't have electricity during our time. That should tell you how rural the place was. We then, just to even show you how it was almost impossible for me to even comprehend computer science, when I passed, got my results, my head teacher had to even complete the varsity application form for me. Got the results. He went, got the result, got the forms. And when I got there, he said, here's a form, here are your results. We are completing the form here. And you are taking it tomorrow to the University of Swaziland. And you will apply for BSc Computer Science. That's how it all started.
But wasn't it a disadvantage though? I know at the time computers were not as widely adopted as now. But wasn't it a disadvantage? I'm sure there was a guy out there who probably came from money and had a Windows 90.
There was nothing. This is the MS-DOS period. This is the MS-DOS time. The computer there was no Windows during my time. And in fact, when we were doing first year, I think my colleagues and my friends will remember, I think the whole computer lab at varsity was purely a Windows environment. Windows, I think, started a year later.
So me asking which Windows version you were using, I was basically trying to get a read. How long was this year? Because
it's very long. It's quite long, yeah. Windows. In fact, even a word processor was WordPerfect at the time, which was purely command based. So if you wanted to bold a sentence or to bold it tightly, you would have to type a certain code for bold, and for italic you would type like you know when you're trying to program what you want to see on the screen, right line, you'd possibly even it was so funny. Even I remember when we started HTML, to learn HTML, it's almost like that. That's how word processors were at the time. WordPerfect, the initial WordPerfect was really almost like you're programming what you want to see on the screen. So you'll have a code for bold and then type whatever and then close the bold. So there was no mouse when it started. And it was so difficult when the mouse started coming in and it was very difficult.
Yeah, GUI, now there's a GUI.
Exactly. So I still like Linux now because it's native to me.
You know what I've realized? People who are from that age and era, they make it seem as if they know more than us GUI guys. Because we click, but we are efficient. I don't know what you guys are. Maybe you're good, but we are efficient.
I think you can understand. It's maybe I don't think I know more, but I think from an experience point of view and understanding a computer more deeper, I think I can claim we do. It's like someone who's done assembly, who's programming an assembly language. You are basically getting into the lower level of the computer. You are talking to the real hardware of the computer. You're almost somewhere in the middle between the hardware and the software. So at that level, most people who can actually program at that level, they are able to do craziest things with the computer. The higher the level of abstraction on a computer, the more you have no idea what happens at the bottom. That's why most of the hackers would not use any GUI or any GUI to do anything. They are writing code at the lowest level, your Python, your assembly, because that's where the real stuff happens with the computer. It's not knowing more, but it's deeper. It gives you the power of the computer more than someone using a mouse or a GUI, as it were.
Melusi, if you can recall, how many people were in your computer science class when you started at the university?
We were very few. I think I remember second year, I think there must have been 6 of us. And when we graduated, I think only 3 or 4 of us graduated that year. And it's been a trend, by the way, with the University of Swaziland. I don't think they've ever had a class of more than 15. they really churning out a low level number of graduates. I don't think it's by design though. I think people have just been. I think at second year people just hate programming. Second year they just jump out, and one or two classes of writing programs, people just don't like it. I think if there were options other than programming, I think more people would take up computer science. But yeah, that's how it is.
Programming. No, I'm kidding. I'm getting older.
Yeah.
So I know Sylvia has a few more questions, but my producer, who I'm no longer allowed to call sound guy, has this thing. He has this obsession with Fire playlist.
Yeah.
And so a request was sent to you to just curate a playlist of 5 songs. Do you still remember top of head?
Don't remember all of them. Sure, I don't remember one. I think I had one. Yeah, I think I remember the questions. I'll probably remember all the choices.
Oh my.
Yep, yes, the first one, yeah, to remember.
Okay, so sing of the song and tell us what mood.
Oh yeah, I can talk about the songs. The first one was I can't remember the question, but the song that came to my mind when that question was asked was "Still Dre" by Dr. Dre. So I love hip hop. I think I have a very deep relationship with hip hop since high school, and now I still play hip hop even now. So yeah, that song "Still Dre" came in, I think, 1999. That was the peak of varsity. You had to pick yourself up and really find something to inspire you, and that song used to inspire me a lot. I loved playing it in the morning, going to class. I would play it just about every time I want an inspiration.
The album 1999, no, the album 2001.
Yeah,
came out tonight.
Yeah, it's Chronic. It's the Chronic 2. Yeah, it's the Chronic 2. Well, we didn't call it the Chronic 2 yet, but it was Chronic. 2001. Yeah, the title was 2001.
Oh, okay.
In 1999, yeah. It was released in 1999. However, I think most of us got it around 2001. But yeah, I remember it was titled 2001 as well.
Yeah. So I'm also...
You seem to... No, I love hip hop. Generally, I still follow hip hop now, particularly Dr. Dre. I still love his songs. I think he's talented. I think he defines hip hop for me. And if there's any reference, I would look at what Dre does and then what everybody does around him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll hand back to Sylvia for the next question, because I don't want to be the guy who breaks it to you that he has ghostwriters.
No, I feel yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me take you back a little bit. What's your fondest childhood memory?
Yo. It's a tricky one. I think it'll be my first day at school. Mm-hmm. Yes. Strangely, my first day at school was interesting. I had an older brother who was doing standard 5 at that time. So the whole feeling of being in a place to learn. I did love school. Contrary to many kids, I didn't cry.
I'm a screaming guy.
No, I didn't cry, and when I went to school, and I looked good because I was dressed up with everything good. Yeah, everything new, and it looked good on me, and I loved it. Strangely, yes, it was. I remember that day, like every detail of it. I remember waking up, going to school, being in a class. Ms. Nkambule was the teacher, worked up welcomed us, made us very comfortable. It was easy then. She would allow us to go out in the middle of the class again. First they know we're still kids. So we'd I'd walk out and just go straight to my brother's class, knock, say hi.
I'm sure it was very embarrassing.
No, of course he was. He would, but I think he understood. So would come out what he want, and if there's anything I need, I would ask for the longest. For me, it didn't feel like school that much. It was just an extension of an experience, but I loved it. The others, quite a number of those, but that one I remember because it was just, when I talk about it, it's strange because people think it's weird, but it was.
Kick and scream. Everyone kicks and screams. Yeah.
Not everyone.
Not everyone. I didn't. I don't want to lie. I didn't. No, I don't join that wagon of kids that cry on the first day of school. I didn't. I was really happy. Really happy. It was exciting.
So you moved from a rural kid who loves school,
Yeah.
and university, you take on a daunting task of basically breaking what is somewhat a barrier, and you graduate against all odds. First job, you mentioned it was a sysadmin job.
Yeah.
What was that like? I'm imagining just even the culture,
Yeah.
like would have been different from what you were used to.
Absolutely. It was very, very different. And it was so funny because I think it's still out there. When you graduate and you just finish up your degree, the assumption for most employers that you will hit the ground running, and you're not. Unfortunately, you have basically all the theory and none of the experience. And I don't think even some of the employees in this organization understand that. Some of them, well, at least in my time, I don't know now, they still believe that when you're coming with a degree from varsity, you've got all the answers, which is not necessarily true. So I found it to be very difficult and tough because the expectations were high, sometimes unfair, because you're just basically a graduate.
A child.
And there's this expectation that you know how to fix a computer, you know how to install a printer, and obviously those basic things they don't teach you at university, and they are considered the things that you can learn for yourselves. So they will not find in a BSc computer science class how to assemble a computer. I'm sure even in IT, those are things that you learn as a computer scientist when you do the job, and you basically just find your way around them. So there was that gap from the theory and the practice. So I found it to be a little bit steep in terms of the learning curve, and expectations didn't make it easy as well. And you had I had a boss who was tough on us. I think he would just stretch you a bit just to make sure that you understand. For instance, he would just give you a computer and a Linux distribution CD and say, do an installation, and you don't even know where to start. After doing the installation, you'll be like, this is a bad installation of Linux, do it again, partition the computer much better, and then you do it again. And he kept on doing that for the longest until you understood what he wanted to do. So he was teaching in a tougher way, but by practice, which was good. It then got better and better with time because he kept on training and teaching at the same time, demanding that you learn, which is good.
I imagine it was harder though because I think for those of us who started out later on doing end user support, you literally could find solutions just by Googling the stuff that we never learned at varsity. Yeah. And so now you need to figure it out because you're in the office, there's no one there to really hold your hand the whole time. You'll get guidance from your boss and from your other more experienced colleagues, but certain things, the expectation is figure it out. And we quickly figured out that, I can Google this and actually get
and during our times there was no Google, so it was even worse. So we didn't have Google. So we had to learn, literally learn practically and do the things, try it out, see if it works. So there was you needed mentoring. You needed someone who was experienced to teach you. And it's so funny though that I think for me it's the conversation I always have about why a degree is always important. What it did for most of us, and at least in my experience, is that with the depth in theory, the practice become a little bit easier. If you've got enough theory and understanding of what you are learning at varsity, when you get practical, it's a matter of saying, give me the manual, let me read. And I am expecting the operating system to be like this. I'm expecting the operating system to have a processor somewhere. I'm expecting the computer to do ABCD. So it's now me trying to marry the theory with practice. I don't need you to teach me. I just now have an expectation based on the theory that I have. So it's easy to navigate anything once you have the theory, deep theory. So that's why I always believe teaching the theory is getting theory right will always help you to and get the experience right. For me, I always see this as a cycling. The theory and practice, keep on just switching it up. Keep on moving from theory and practice. That cycle is critical. Once you start with the practice without the theory, you become a slave of your own tricks and your own understanding. And then the theory without the practice as well, you stay in a very vague, abstract world, and without testing the things if they really work. So I believe it is good. Get the degree and then do the practice. Learn something else again. Get the theory, practice. It's a cycle.
That's actually great advice for anyone learning anything, really. We tended to lose it somewhere. And I think that's a good mind map that can lead.
It is important,
yeah. So in that, I just want to, as someone who, I'll say alumni, I have this conversation a lot with young people who go to local institutes of higher learning where they feel like, I don't know, the level of education that they get is
low.
Below. I went to an international university, so they think just because I went to an international university, I know more.
Yeah.
When, of course, maybe they're much better equipped.
Yes, true.
As someone who's an alumni of the local education system, what are your thoughts on it? Current state and quality.
I think it's great. In my experience, maybe I'll speak specifically for the computer science faculty and maybe the department. I think in my opinion, they're doing a fantastic job. I have, of course, there's always room for improvement. Let's not take that away. As soon as you see courses that and notes that you started with or you learned during your time, you then a little bit get worried about them, that they're teaching private stuff that is outdated. But the principles in computer science remain. They never change. They just get better. I mean, we talk about AI now. AI has been there forever. It's just that now it's got hyped up a bit. So I think the University of Swaziland is doing very well. I'm saying that for two reasons. The students that we still get from that varsity are still great even today. I hire most of the time graduates from the University of Swaziland, and as late as as now as I probably have one or two that graduated last year. They're as great as they were 10 or 15 years ago when I started with getting GITs from the University of Swaziland. So they're very good. They adapt quicker. They learn things faster. They even move faster. They do great. They're actually good. They're okay. I mean, they are comparative to the rest of computer science students all over the world.
Maybe can I just disturb you to put a disclaimer there? Someone with happy fingers on the comment section. We are only talking about quality of education and not all the other background stuff.
Oh yeah.
Quality of education. Yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously what I'm talking about is that the quality of education is good, judging by the quality of the students that you get. So yeah, I think it's good. And for me, I've also then the second reason for me is that having then studied in other universities in other countries, particularly South Africa, I found us to be very comparative and very competitive, and I've been able to pass not just me, but quite a number of the students from the University of Swaziland that have done computer science done very well. So for me, it tells you that the base, the grade degree is solid and it's good. So I don't know, maybe you can find one or two, obviously, but straight. But based on what I've seen and based on my experience, they're doing pretty much well. So you could take your kid to the University of Swaziland, and if you're doing computer science, I can tell you right now that they are not lost.
Yeah, they'll get a quality education.
Absolutely, I think you would.
So I'm going to ask a song, the next song, because music is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Which one? Let's not talk about gospel. I do listen to gospel music as well. But Happy by Pharrell Williams. I love that song. It's a happy song. I love playing it sometimes when I feel very happy. It's got that vibe. I mean, you feel like dancing at any point in time. When you're playing that song in the morning and you're a little bit sad and you want to get yourself up, if you play Happy, for me, it just gives me a little bit of sugar. And I can't play it in the car because then you probably find myself dancing. But if I'm in the house and I'm playing it, I'll possibly feel a little bit, up.
Is it the one that has a 24-hour video? I think.
Oh, really? I've not listened to Happy.
I think. Yeah, no, I know.
I think it is. Yeah, I think I've. Well, I don't pay. I haven't paid much. Yeah.
There's a song that they made a video. They broke the world record of
the longest
music video.
It's
so it's basically just a compilation of people dancing.
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Yeah, but it is an amazing song.
It is.
And Pharrell is a music genius.
He's behind quite a number of hits, and he knows how to get people to understand music much better. So he's good. I like that song.
Oh, don't bring hip hop heads to me because
the conversation is going to be about hip hop and how much you guys love Dr. Dre and
run away from it.
Yeah, so it'll end up being many things hip hop and
but then we can't really have conversations about the technology, the work, without delving a little bit into the person behind all the technology and the career progression and stuff. So the music conversation and anything else is also
it's part of who you are. Part of who you are.
Good stuff. I agree.
So I'm going to steal this one from Sylvia. We are having a conversation with someone who is a leader, but who started from the bottom. What in young people, what one, maybe two character trait that you have seen in young people just as you've mentioned, you have a lot of experience just bringing in young people, locally trained, homegrown in football language, and getting them to a level where they are industry professionals. What one common maybe character traits that you see in those that succeed?
I think it's just focus. Focus. There's a word for it. They call it grit. That belief that you can do great and just focusing on your goals. I've seen a lot. I can tell a leader now that I've seen a little bit of people around me. I can tell a leader from a very young age when a system admin joins or a GIT, the traits are almost similar. Someone who's focused, just knowing what to do and doing it and deliver it on time. Because, once you finish your degree, the world is just yours. You can do anything. It's no more a matter of passing. It's now about your self-leadership, how you lead yourself. So I always say, if you focus, set up your goals, chase them, deliver them. And that's in a macro scale. In a micro scale, it talks about you just showing up on time. A report is sent on time. You
I laugh because I'm always late.
I think for me, being dependable, because it's those kind of things. You want your boss for to give you that responsibility, but that responsibility comes with the leader or that particular leader of yours understanding that you will not let them down. So leadership is a great responsibility, but I can only give it to someone who can lead themselves as well, who knows who they are, and they are willing to lead other people as well. And you have to lead you.
Very profound. I thought you were going to quote Uncle Ben.
No, it is. It's a huge responsibility, and not everyone can. It starts from a very young age. You can teach, yes. People can be taught how to lead, but some people, as they always say, that comes natural. Some people just know that if I have a task that I've been given to do, I'll deliver. I have to deliver on time. If I have someone to meet at a certain point in time, that meeting will happen. If there's a report to be submitted, exactly at that time, that report. And this kind of stuff is being taught, maybe sadly, from a high school point of view, and university, wherever, throughout your life. The assignment is always given a deadline for that reason.
Yeah,
submit on time, but if some of us will not submit on time, and then you can tell what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Show up, school starts at 8. It's you being taught to lead.
You're always on the list of people getting punished for being late, like daily.
Absolutely. And you never understand why these things are there. They are there as part of growing you to be a strict citizen.
For the future.
Yeah, and to be a leader. Why is it important for you to get at work at 8? Because you can start at 10 and deliver the same amount of work at any point. That's not that starting at 8 is just us being fussy about it. It's just about you, lead you.
Can I tell?
Just wake up on time and plan.
Can I tell you? I have never thought of it this way. And yeah, I feel like we basically have these conversations to try and see how we can develop and help whoever.
Yeah.
I'm learning from this as well. So thank you.
Thanks. That's if I can do that to you and anybody else, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
The salary question. No, I'm not going to ask what your salary was, but something related to it. Can you remember like one important thing that you're proud of, which you bought with your first salary? Something that's valuable to you, not necessarily because of the amount of money that it cost, but just something that you valued.
Well, it's a tough one. It's clothes. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I think my first salary, I bought myself not the first salary, but my first job. Because I don't think my first salary I could afford to buy anything big of notable value. But my first job, I bought a fridge. And it was refreshing to know that I can actually buy something and buy fuel. Yeah, with my money that I've worked for. University would buy fridge and stuff, but that's allowance. This time around, it was money that I've worked for. It was my salary, and I bought that fridge. That was cool. But I couldn't buy it on my phone. First time I can't even remember what I did with. I probably went and dined with that, and possibly, I don't know. I probably bought a couple of shirts and clothes and stuff, but and mostly it must have been clothes. Of course. It was Rockaway at the time. I remember I bought my Rockaway. I did, yeah. It was clothes. It was a small amount of money then as well. I mean, you couldn't expect me to buy something big.
Something huge. Yes.
No, it was a small amount of money. Can't mention it, but it was small. Very small.
Okay. So I'm just going to try and track back to the life story. So you are now sysadmin and you are learning all of these things, and it's happening. Like, you are thrown in the deep end, you swim out, and with every passing challenge, you feel less and less like it's impossible. You that imposter syndrome sort of goes away. And what then was your next step? And if possible, if you remember, what inspired you to take that next step?
I think I always believed that I had it in me to grow and learn. I think I went into the working profession, into the working world, understanding very clear that I don't have all the knowledge and I'm definitely going to learn. But it was also easy because I think there was a sort of a sense of pride from students from the varsity at the time, because I think the university, the University of Swaziland at the time was producing quite a number of students that were doing very well in the industry. So everybody believed that you could do something great. So we were not shy of understanding that I'm a leader. I'm going to be a leader at some point. So we understood that the journey would start now, and I need to learn, and I'm going to be great tomorrow. If I don't know it today, I will know it in a month or two, and I'll read and I'll find out my answers. So that kept us going. That kept me going to a point that I'm not even scared even now. That creates some kind of a track record of being thrown in any deep end and just understanding that you make it, even when it's not even computer science related or IT related. If you've got that kind of, that's why I would say the first degree is very, very important. Get it, and then you are sorted. You don't have to even do computer science once you finish your first degree. You can literally do anything. To get that first degree, figure out yourself after it. And I know it's a little bit sounding like you're wasting time. Why don't you just do exactly what you want? But I think at that point in time, for most of us, we just don't know what we want. So just get that degree and figure out the rest. And I've done about 3 degrees after that. So that can tell you that I'm still trying to figure me. I don't know what I'm going to do next.
Stay in school, kids. Stay in school.
Yes, just keep learning. That confidence just builds up from just having the theory.
So what was your next job?
My next job was was a billing system admin at a utility company. I think for me that was my biggest break. That became the organization that just threw me a lot of things to learn. It was big. It was obviously a bigger organization with a lot of things to do. But before then, I went to a project. I can't really count that because it was about a year and a half It was a project by the Ministry of Natural Resources then down in Komati in Channel. I worked there for about 1.5, but it was just simple IT. We were setting up IT. And you did everything. You were just an IT officer. That's the title. So basically, if you're an IT officer, you are doing everything. You be asked to program sometime. You be asked to be a network administrator. You install a printer. Exactly. But I think for me, everything just compounds to the experience that I've had. I've literally done everything in IT, from programming, IT, networking. That's been part of the basket of skills that I have. By the way, I didn't mention it. My first job, even though I was a system admin, but was mostly around networking. So it was an ISP. We were installing networks, dial-ups, providing internet, understanding networking. A lot of skills learned there. It was about, a 1.5 as well. My earlier career was just staying very short period of time in organizations and moving on. But yeah, the next job that I think it's worth mentioning is at the utility company, because that's where I got my first break into leadership. And I think it was the sheer number of the scale of the systems, the number of systems that we were administering, and then the importance of those systems. If you're running a billing system for that organization, it's a big system. It's being used, and it's a revenue generating system. So all eyes on you, who's ever running it. They then introduced the prepaid system later. The prepaid system was also very critical because it was now a system that is being used by people out there. So customers now are becoming you have to understand them. They have to go to a filling station and be able to buy a token. If it's not possible, it's you. And that created a little bit of also understanding that IT doesn't just exist in isolation. It's just not the tech, it's the business side of things. They then also promoted me. My first leadership break started there. So that's why it's worth mentioning. I spent some time, about 6 years there, just doing system admin jobs and obviously doing programming as well. And yeah, started leading there.
Okay. May I just pull you back a bit to the 1.5 years that you spent as a generalist? As a young person who is in industry today, I have a lot of other young friends who are in trying to break in, trying to catch the first wave. The question is, how big a value is it to get on those generalist projects just to get you, because we hate it.
Yeah,
we hate it.
It's I just don't understand why though. It's for me it's fantastic. Everybody in IT should do that. If you really want to grow in the IT space, if you really want to grow and understand IT as a whole, I think it's important to just get your hands dirty, maybe for a year or 2 or 3, just understand just the everything about IT, the stuff that you learned at school, at the very least, practice it. I'm not saying just be all over the place for the longest, but understanding the basics. I'll make an example. If you're going to be a security specialist, IT security specialist, I always like to put the IT security because people then say security. Got a lot of things. The IT security specialist, it gets a little bit abstract for someone who is not, for instance, done programming to talk about security at a code level. How do you secure a form? We will talk about it if you've not done programming, and you possibly would probably not really understand exactly fully what happens. If you've not done networking and you're trying to tell a network administrator how to configure a router with security in mind, you would probably struggle a bit. You have to at least have an idea what this guy is doing. so that you can then be able to direct them to the right direction and have a very fair conversation with them. There's nothing that hurts the most when you're trying to explain to someone who's now directing you to do something with theory and you have the practice.
Yeah.
It just never goes.
Because experience teaches you that things break.
Exactly.
Things break.
Trying to explain to someone who's not done it and they're talking from just the textbook approach gets a little bit difficult, and that's when most of the conflict will possibly come from, and no one likes conflict. So if you are an IT auditor at some point, if you've got a little bit of an experience of just basic IT and knowing that this person should have been following a procedure of some sort. So to hold them accountable to a procedure is not a big ask. I mean, you've done a backup procedure at some point. To ask them to say, I don't think you're doing your backup procedures very well because you're not telling us at the end of the day, you don't record if the backup was successful or not. Well, show me the logs that you check, that you know what you're talking about. So it's a fair conversation to have with that person.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
In my experience also as an IT auditor, I was fortunate enough that I started off as a trainee IT auditor, but there was also an opportunity in
support
that work environment for me to work in end user support and do a whole bunch of other things. It helped me understand the processes that we audited a whole lot better than just having a concept from theory. So there's a lot of value in that generalist experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not something to run away from. You can tell the other young people, and it's not something to run away from. There's definitely a lot of value in it, and you learn so much.
Yeah. You learn so much, even when you're going to be even specializing in programming. If you've not spent some time supporting users, you now know. Yeah. For instance, I'll make an example. If you're going to be writing a program that's going to be used by tellers or cashiers, and you know these guys have a lot of people in front of them. They need to service them. It's a queue. So at some point they do the tabs and they're very fast. And unfortunately, if you're going to program or write a screen with tabs that maybe the text areas and screens, the first one is there and then the next one is at the bottom, you're going to have a serious issue. But if you've been there, you've supported them and you know how they work and how they operate, they tab and then they tap and they'll probably be talking to the next customer while they're typing. You generally understand that they probably don't even look at what they're typing. So that helps you when you're writing a program now to understand how they operate. So getting your hands dirty, doing the basic IT support skill, going out there, installing that printer, setting up that network, configuring that router will help you as you specialize going forward.
And the other thing, the lessons that you pick up, the key lessons you're picking up from that generalist experience are not just purely the technical stuff. Soft skills that you pick up while interacting with people, if you're doing end user support, they're very important as well. So you don't realize it in the moment, but as you grow in your career, you get to appreciate those interactions as well.
Yeah, you connect the dots backwards. Steve Jobs said.
Design with the user in mind. So, music. I'm not going to share my screen with you anymore.
Please.
Top of head. It's crunch time. You need to go. What power song do you go to? What lose yourself? What's your lose yourself?
Wow. It's probably a hip hop song. Anything hip hop, man, will get me excited. By Dre, by Kendrick Lamar, anything hip hop would probably get me going. I love a lot of music. I'm just not one faceted person when it comes to music. I listen to a wide range, but hip hop is top. So I can pull up a song, any song, could be even a gospel song. I possibly feel something and it will probably lift me up if I happen to know and listen to the lyrics of the song and the melody and everything ties up for me. Could be even a reggae song. Sometimes I listen to reggae. I'm sure you saw in my list there were songs that are reggae songs. Lucky Dube, when we were growing up, was an icon for us. And I used to listen to some of those songs. Reggae Strong was a very good song. I still play it even now. See, any music will get me somewhere. If it's good, I'll vibe to it.
Good. Not lose yourself, but you lose yourself in it.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
So there is a very so the guy who curated some of these questions is you know him personally. So some of the things that he wrote are kind of edgy to say the least.
Edgy or controversial.
Yeah, controversial. So I was just looking.
What's the question that
Crush on an adult? Celebrity crush. Let's change it.
That's
Celebrity. What was your first celebrity crush? Before you're married, what was your first celebrity?
Wow, I don't have a celebrity crush. Let me talk about a crush. A crush that I had. It was in Standard 5. I hope she never gets to see this podcast. It is my teacher. But it saved my life. I think that crush went for me because
You tried to impress.
of course I made sure every test I get A's, I got hundreds, just to make sure that she's happy about me and she's got nothing bad to say to me because I think I just didn't want anything that would make her look at me in a way that I'm stupid. So I made sure I passed. So my Standard 5 teacher, she.
So that crush motivated you.
Yes,
It was a good crush.
it was a good crush. It was
every crush.
yes, she was that good, and she looked very good. And to a point, I think I hated the boyfriend because the boyfriend would show up and then would come.
Yeah, randomly, just so you guys know.
If I could get this guy in that corner somewhere, I would make him up. I had a crush.
You know, the last time I had a crush, I think it was like, I don't know, when I started working, I had a crush on someone. And I bumped into them. I'm sorry, the conversation is flowing, so I'm probably just, I'll have to explain. Yeah, there's a lot of explaining that I'm going to do tonight. Well, when the episode is released. But I had a crush on someone at the office, my first job. And I bumped into her like sometime, and she was like, "Hey, you know, I actually had a crush on you." I was like, "What? Why are you doing this?"
What are you supposed to do with this information?
I think Silva can help us out here because girls always say they know when you have a crush on them. And maybe the question to her is that
Yeah.
true? Because probably the reason she had the courage to tell you was because she knew that you had a crush on her. And that would scare the hell out of me because then I would think Miss Swane, my I could see that this young thing likes me.
Is that true?
Sometimes, you can tell. I don't know how to explain it, but there's certain behaviors that will go beyond just the normal friendliness. So you may not really feel brave enough to go up to the person and tell her, "I have a crush on you." And
But you guys tell.
without even noticing, you start behaving a certain way around them, and they can pick up, oh, okay, something's going on here.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's bad for us because we always think you guys don't pick it up, and we believe we're getting it under control.
It's like a secret.
Because I don't think we do tell for if it's a girl that has a crush on you as a guy. I doubt we know. I don't.
I didn't. I mean,
I don't.
Imagine if I
never
got
been
this.
able to find that up. So I just, and if there is, you never know.
And it wouldn't have changed your life to know.
It would. Like,
don't worry about
it. This was useful information 6-7 years ago. Now I'm like, why are you telling me? Just complicating my life for no reason.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
But yeah, I hope our producer can just cut this part.
The crash.
Yeah, so that I don't have to explain a lot.
Me too. Crash. IT is more important than everything else. Yeah, no, it's been a journey in IT.
And now you are in the flow. You are breaking into leadership.
Yeah.
In the country that we are in, is there a glass ceiling? That's the first thing. And secondly, how high is it in the early stages of leadership? Like, can you move 2 positions up and there's a glass ceiling? It's just 1 position in. Well, that's if there's a glass ceiling.
I don't think there is. I think for IT, we've come a long way. I think now I can confidently say IT can be anything. I think we're now ready to lead organizations. I think the whole migration, digitization, and just understanding that organizations cannot strive and grow without IT has changed the whole narrative about how businesses look at IT. I can't think of any industry right now that has not been disrupted by technology. So whether you're in the banking sector, at some point you can actually run a bank. If you are a level-headed IT professional, you can literally run a hospital and BS. You can literally run anything because at some point we are forced to understand the business. And sometimes we understand it much better than the people who are actually running the business. So it's a funny one. I believe that we have ourselves now to blame if we don't lead organizations. It's the ball is in our court. I can actually literally run most of the business that I've worked for now because I understand exactly the value chain. Isn't it about understanding the business? We do. Understanding the processes? We do. Understanding what makes money? We do. In fact, sometimes we fold our arms and watch in awe some of the opportunities that are being missed by just not applying technology right. And if we raise our hands and get our hands dirty, we definitely show it. That's why fintechs in the financial space have actually taken over because they always see the opportunities. Technology guys will see the opportunities and make money out of it everywhere. Every industry has been disrupted. And it doesn't stop now. It gets better.
Great. I had a follow-up question, but I'm like, okay. So the basis of the question really is there are tech companies that are led by finance people, and I like how you have captured that, and I believe now I didn't. I was one of those, and I guess for me it would be just to find out what, excuse me, what differentiates then the guys who actually make it to the top. Right now, you confidently say you can lead, right? What differentiates the guys who can go all the way and can provide real impact and value from the guys who are just there and they end up just stuck in some way?
It's demonstrating to the business that you understand the business and you understand them. and you understand what they are all about. And it's not rocket science for an IT person to understand the business, because every process right now in most organizations is run through systems. So if you can demonstrate and not just demonstrate by talking, by just showing that you understand the business. And that's why I always frown at organizations that don't have IT representation at executive level. They're missing something. You have to have that executive sitting there. The head of IT must sit at an executive level. It's important so that they can understand the business, not to run the business, but to understand how they can support the business. And in some instances, to even lead the business, because some organizations, they require, by their nature, IT to lead. And that's why I always say the era that we're in now, it's not about IT enabler. It's IT partnering. We now partner with the business. And partnering and enabling are two different concepts. If I partner with the business, I'm not going to be an order taker by the business. I am going to sit, have a conversation with you, and understand what you want, make my input. The goal, the end product is an induced. It's a product that has an IT signature and a business signature. That becomes what wins. You can't have an organization that still think IT is an enabler, a support function.
Support.
I mean, it's very dangerous in this day and age, because what tends to happen is that business people go in that direction and IT people go in that direction. And if they support them in the wrong direction, and they come out with a product that is not working, and it just makes just an investment nightmare. But if IT sits with the business and they partner in a solution, and partnering means the idea could be coming from an IT point of view. I mean, I've seen it happening. The fintechs actually demonstrate that. Even in the MNOs, the network operators, if they understood that WhatsApp and the rest of them would have not taken their business. Because if you understand what technology can do for you and allow technology to play within your sector as well and partner with them, you will succeed. So partnering, IT partners now, it's not an enabler. And that means we can go up there and sit in the CEO's office and run the organization. Sometimes even more effectively.
That would be nice.
It can, it's possible.
Yeah. So you are now in leadership, right? And what has been the most meaningful pet project? What is Melusi's step that you seek to make?
Wow. As a project or just generally?
No, maybe as a project, but generally as a leader, what is the one thing that you said, okay, I'm a leader now. I have the ability to implement, put my stamp on things.
It's for me, it's always been consistently, well, the moment I was able to, and consistently ensuring that business understands the value of IT, real value of IT. And sometimes this is, and that's why I'm saying real value of IT, because what tends to happen is that it's always sugar coated, as we understand, but we can't do anything without IT, without really meaning it. That becomes a political statement. If an organization really understands what the value of IT and they demonstrate it, it will be no decision made without an input of IT. No idea moves without IT. It will be like we have a seat at every conversation about the organization. And I have not been able to achieve that in my earlier career. But now, as I've moved up I've been able to do that. Partly it's just ensuring that you not just become a techie at the executive level. My achievement there has always been to be able to understand and speak their language, understand what credit means, if need be, understand what debit means, understand an asset, understand that kind of conversation, because that's what they speak about. That's what it means. At the end of the day, for them, are we growing our assets? Are we growing our books? What is our net profit? What is the revenue? So if you speak their language with the backing up of technology, you probably gonna have that seat. So for me, that achievement of being able to transcend from just being a techie to being a business person with technology in my kitty has been a huge achievement. And I think for me, all IT leaders, if they grow that skill of speaking the business language, they stand to make a positive impact in the organization. You have to speak their language with the technology infused in it. Failure to do that, you become just the guy in the corner to talk about the toys, because they call them toys. But if you really talk about business, you just make sure that they understand it's no more a toy. It's their life. Everything depends on it.
Use words like it be data.
You have to demonstrate that. Otherwise, if you fail to do that as a leader, they will always take you as just an
by the way.
Yeah. They'll make the decision. And by the way, let's call it.
Yeah.
We need you to do A, B, C, D. We want you to deliver this in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and they come with impossible requests. Like,
because you're not there when they talk about those ideas. So you gotta be there to tell them,
yes, we can do this, but not in a week, or no, we cannot do this until this other stuff.
We are getting ahead of yourself. You still need to do A, B, C, D. Or where is this? Where is the business case? Where are the numbers? Ask them those questions. If you bring the ball in their courts, where is the business case? Tell me what revenue you're going to make out of this one, because we just don't want to spend time doing something that's not going to help anyone. So those tough conversations coming from an IT point of view, because we always tell them it's going to cost us this amount of money, and I'm not seeing the revenue.
Yeah, so generally what happens is there are these buzzwords that are thrown, excuse me, and they're so catchy. AI is one of them.
Yeah.
Right? You hear a leader saying, hey, let's adopt AI pronto, when in reality there's literally no need to adopt a full-blown GPT, you know.
It is true. They leaders, they're paid to speak the big picture. You have to be strategic at that level. So our job as the middle management is to then shape that narrative into something concrete. And for IT, it's always between life and death, because most of these words, they come for IR, and you then have to explain, what do you mean? 3G, 5G. I mean, I remember at some point when 5G came up, and my boss asked me to sort of present what it means. But I think that was a good approach, because he wanted to understand. But then the invest would have been to say, I want you to implement a 5G strategy within the organization, and it would have been disastrous. Yeah, exactly. So I think we have to understand that it's our job as IT to take the abstract issues and concretize them into something tangible. So they talk about AI because it's there, it's the buzzword. But what is then IT saying? We need to start sort of squeezing it and bringing it down to the organization context. I see generative AI to add value here, and marketing could actually do well with a generative AI for crafting catchy marketing ads. You show them what can be done. Obviously, for us, we need to start from a policy point of view.
Of course.
How do we use it? Because everything without a policy becomes a problem. Strategy, bring it down to a roadmap of some sort, get there. But there is a future for generative AI. I mean, those buzzwords, even 5G, all of this, the AI comes with tangible benefits for businesses, but if not harnessed and talked about in the right context, it's a problem. To a point.
I realized that it's so for AI, just digressing from the conversation. For AI, most of these models are trained, right? And for them to be trained, they require data sets, right? So I am a security professional, and I am, as a person, I'm also very big on privacy. Like, and I don't want to just give enrich ChatGPT to OpenAI with excuse me, my or any organization's sensitive data. So the policy aspect of it is big, which basically leads to the next question. Now, as a leader and as an industry titan, so to say, how have you? What's your experience with regulation in the country? I'm going to limit. I know it's a very broad.
Yeah,
so
it's a broad one.
I'm just going to try and limit it to data privacy and the cyber laws of 2022.
I think they came a little bit late. These laws are coming a little bit late, but it's stuff in the right direction. We need them, but fact remains they're coming a little bit late, and some of the provisions sometimes they because they're coming in a little bit late, it's now a little bit obsolete in any way, because we are trying to regulate an industry that is fast paced, and with our culture, I won't say, I don't know, with our disposition as a country, we take time to adopt and also to even review some of the laws. It's a little bit of a risk. You could find yourself in prison for something that was illegal 5 years ago in America, but now legal here. Now legal in America, but still illegal here because the law says thou shall not. So I think we need to learn as a country to speed up some of these regulations and be very much awake to the fact that they need to be reviewed faster, because why they are actually regulating an industry that is fast-paced in terms of changing. Quite unlike some other industries, they don't change as you can afford to have the SODV Act maybe 5 years removed after 5 years, or the Marriage Act can be removed after 50 years. Yeah. But with the cybercrime, I mean, it's just not fair. It's not right. But they are in the right direction. I think in the bigger scheme of things, I'll just make an example before I leave, where an employee in one of my places where I've worked, where clearly what they'd done was a crime. Obviously, we dealt with the internal processes. We could have actually taken that person to, you could have been, apprehended by the police and also it was a criminal offense in its nature. But because the laws were not there, at some point, the prosecutors said to us, there's nothing we can do in the armpit of the law. Now that we have the Cybercrime Act, it's there. That happened about 2 or 3 years before the law came into effect. So he got away with murder. So that's how bad it is. Took too long to come up with the law, and it probably won't change in the next 5-10 years. But so many things have changed.
So I see my producer is giving me the stink eye, which is fine. I have learned to ignore him, and in instead, just look at the computer and not. Yeah. So
Yeah, I saw him raising. You asked him to.
Yeah.
He did.
So can I tell you a story? Personal story.
Go for it.
Many, many years ago, right, I worked for an organization and I was young, fresh out of university, eager. Um,
Excited.
I was given keys to the kingdom. Right? Like I'm not sure. Okay, they knew. Yeah. They just gave me access and everything that I needed to be a child and to have as much fun as I possibly can. And one of the fun things that I did was a deployment that took down the call center, which is one of the best call centers in the country. So you can imagine how much work has gone into getting it at that level. And now it's down and no one knows why exactly. Right. And turns out new guy. So I'm sure you had similar horror stories in your career. Would you mind sharing one with us?
Personally, not me. No, never. I think my first boss was very strict. Like he made sure you understood exactly. He was a very good teacher. I still hold him very high. He's great. But I've seen a lot of those happening. I mean, in my career, my guys doing it, and maybe I'm a bad teacher, but I think I've seen it. I've seen a lot of people doing that, but I don't think it's a very, very bad thing. The learnings from those things are quite huge. You learn for days. I think most of them that have had those kind of incidents, they become the best. Well, they are more careful more than anybody. They are more cautious, and you can trust them with big things.
Yeah.
After that experience,
for me, the biggest learn from that was understanding why.
Yeah.
So there are these processes that are put in place, and more often than not, we think of them as hindrances.
Yes.
When in actual fact, there's a reason, you know.
Yeah.
And you come in young and you think,
just gonna,
these old people are relics now. Like, I know better, you know. And then
it is. There are those processes. I think they have to be in place, and they help. I think to a point, they're important, and the change management process or even a policy in that matter is very important. It's there for a reason. For people like you. Even the separation of the environments. You gotta have those test environment, SIT, and then the production environment, proper delineation of those are very critical for those reasons. But you learn. I think for me, it's the learning. I think if someone has not done it and has never had to make those mistakes, I will always choose someone who's made that mistake over someone who's not done it, because overconfidence can also be a problem. I have in my department right now at the top, I have what I call a high school boy error, and I define it. And I always tell people never to commit high school boy error. And the definition of a high school boy error in my department is being overconfident and neglecting the basics. I always say, never make high school boy error. So it's always a buzzword around the IT team. High school boy errors, who's done but it keeps them glued up and understanding. So a high school boy error teaches you. You commit one. High school boy errors were the kind of things that you're going on a trip as a school and you forget your passport. and they reach the border post.
Yeah, no. Turn back.
Now maybe passport. That's what we typically would call a high school boy error. So you don't want to commit those in a working environment.
I feel like we could go on forever. I mean, it feels like the conversation has just started, and I can no longer pretend to be focusing on something here because I mean, if looks could kill. Last question.
Last question.
Yeah.
I think, okay, we've already talked about leadership mostly, which is where my next question could have gone. But in your experience, Melusi, in the technology space, do we really leave enough room for people to fail and to learn from those failures?
We don't. And it's not, this is not about IT anyway, it's just the wider business. I think over the years it has gotten more serious about, well, the focus on IT is huge. And most organizations now are looking for, they already carved up CIO who's got the depth of experience and where are they going to get that experience if you don't give them? Where you don't give those opportunities? So I think for me, that is not being done, and most organizations are not being intentional about growing their own CIO. I think I consider myself as one of the fortunate ones to be given that space to fail. I remember when 2010, when I was given the role to head an IT department, I just didn't know what I was doing. I was given, say, you deliver on this, do it, and we'll give you all the support. And they did. There are so many things that went wrong right there. But I don't think they were, with IT, obviously, it's not always you, it's systemic issues.
Yeah.
It's coming from 10 years of not maintaining that environment, that 10 years of not changing that serve.
Yeah.
So
Could be supply chain.
yeah, exactly. So you sit there, everything starts failing. It's not you, but it's just, it happens when you're at the helm of that organization. I learned a lot. I was given the opportunity to fix things, grow things, change things, grow up, study. I'm forever grateful for that organization. They if many organizations can be like that, that question would fall. And it's not a surprise that some organizations just sometimes even feel like they need to get a South African or someone abroad to run an IT, which I think for me we've got enough.
And they feel like if one thing goes wrong, that CIO needs to go and we get a different person.
Yeah.
So the approach is very punitive, and we don't leave room for people to fail and learn.
No, we don't. And it's not about us as IT professionals. It's them, the business. And we need to change that. That's why we spoke about it earlier. The IT professional sort of body, it's long overdue for us, because we need to now also give that credibility to the business. I think I can understand where they're coming from. As much as the business, are not doing it, but I can understand exactly where they're coming from. Like I said, the IT environment has become so important for businesses that they don't want to leave room for failure, and they don't want to be trying and error around that space. And now they need a certain body, an external body, that can say, we believe, and we can say without a shadow of doubt that Silver can run an IT department very effectively because he's got A, B, C, D in terms of skills that we believe are critical and enough for her to run an IT shop. If we can do that as a body, then that credibility will come through. They will probably trust us more. But right now, they are not giving any room for failure. They're not going to do it. They're definitely not going to do it, and understand why, but it's not helping the industry, and it's not helping the young professionals to grow and be CIOs. And some of these organizations have been advertising for CIOs for days and not getting them. And you ask yourself, I know a lot of people that can actually do that role, but because they are scared, they're looking at their server rooms millions of investment, and like wow. And not give it to.
Yeah.
High to be left to anybody to play around there.
Yeah. But I think
Not
it's
fair, yeah.
to your point, people grow. And yeah. My last question, I'm going to try and pull a quick one on the producer. Um, my last question is in two parts. But the first is, what was your first car? And the second is, um, what would your words of encouragement be to any young kid out there who is probably further than 18 kilometers away from Uyeng or
From the
yeah,
high school.
yeah. What would your words of encouragement be to those? Because I know for a fact right now that in this country in particular, there are people out there who still don't have access to computers, but they they know that with the right tools they can win.
First car, Toyota Tez. It was a beautiful
Yeah.
car. I promise you.
Yes.
It was a serious car during that.
Yeah.
My one was sporty. I mean, it had
Yeah.
all the whole bells and whistles. It was a very beautiful car. I loved it.
Sound.
Everything, spoiler kit, everything. It was beautiful. I loved that car.
If you see one of those now, you lose your mind. You're like, yeah, that's a beautiful car. Yeah,
No, it was a beautiful
Yeah.
car, man. It had even a name around Janin. People just love it. Was a beautiful car, I must say. It was a beautiful car, first car. What could I say to a young person out there, especially around the rural areas where I come from? Dream and follow your dreams. And I think this is very important because most of us in the rural areas, we see nothing around you. You see nothing. You see everybody, and they finish from 5, they are bus conductor and they have money now. Suddenly, they building a small one room at their homes. You see one of your colleagues, suddenly he's a police officer and he's earning that salary, and you think probably that's an opportunity for you as well. Not nothing to say that you should not aspire to be a police person, a policeman or a soldier for that matter. But I think don't limit yourself to those kind of professions. Think bigger, and chase those dreams. There's the world is big, and even Swaziland is very small. Think bigger. Think bigger than your community. Think bigger than your town. Think bigger. Just yeah, be limitless in your thinking and study. And nothing will happen without you getting your hands dirty. Go to school, learn, study, pay the price, do it. It's important. If you don't do it, unfortunately, it's gonna be hard. Not that people cannot make it without degrees, but yes, it gets tougher. It's a little bit tricky.
Yeah. In our environment,
Yeah.
you need
You need that.
it's like maths, right? You would rather have maths and not need it than need maths and not have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd
It's like
rather
yeah, it's like
have a degree.
it's like no.
Yeah.
We can't talk to you without show us the degree. It's the questions that they ask, even when you were seeking for help from your cousins or your uncles who are probably running departments or working somewhere. The first question they will ask you, so Mshana ufunzele ini?
Mm.
That's
Show
the
us
first
your
question.
papers.
Show us your papers.
Yeah.
And if you don't have anything to show them, the conversation ends there. In fact, they actually use that to deter you from asking from anything. They know that
Yeah,
you don't have anything. They know they've just finished the conversation there. So have something. Nakakubuta malume kuzathi kuseni mshana manje ukhuluma yini? Ushula leyo degree yakho. Hayi, malume ngicela nayi computer science. Ngicela nayi degree in psychology or radiography. Something, show something, do something, and And not to say it's the bulletproof. It's good. I mean, it's a silver bullet. It will open all the doors. But at least it's a conversation. You have people just showing up with nothing. The conversation goes nowhere slowly. You have to show something, say something, produce something, and it's important. And unfortunately, I think I had a conversation with my friend some time ago, and what is happening? Some people can degree I guess it's but yeah, come from a privilege and got yourself that job, but since you indeed at a very same degree, yeah, but you don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
And yeah, the conversation. But I always say it's still
to rather have it.
Yes, it's an
And-
actual conversation. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Rather have
important.
it than not have it.
Yeah, because when the time comes, you surely put it up, and it will say.
Yeah. And also, it takes 3 to 4 years to get a degree, right?
Yeah.
And the opportunity naivela, there's no opportunity without vela. It's we will wait for you to finish your degree. You know?
Absolutely.
So for now, we totally and have it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. You have to be ready when it comes. Yeah. Thank
Mr.
you.
Malinga, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
From my primary school, this was a very long time ago. I know it's Nanadelo Sadama Indigas, it's Hambegwayo. That's all I can remember.
That's about enough.
So thank you so much for honoring the invite, and thank you for having a very beautiful conversation with us. We look forward to other engagements. We will have more conversations around much more
Concise,
topics.
Yeah.
So we hope you will heed the call.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me as well. I appreciate it. I think everybody at some point you get to a point where you want to inject and sort of give back to society and have someone out there. We're not there yet to be doing that, but the little that we have, we would like to say something to someone. Pick it up, learn something from it. It's all good. So I take this opportunity as that platform for me to say those 2 or 3 words together. And I hope you guys all the best as you have more episodes and reaching out to many of our IT professionals out there. Good luck and thank you for doing this. I know it's coming from all your pockets. But it all pays up in the end. So keep going. I just want to encourage you. Keep going. Because I watched the last episode. You guys didn't have this with me. Would I be able to speak with them time? And now look at you. You've got this. And I even said at some point when I was coming here, I was going to say, you know what, guys, I'm going to sponsor this so that it's easy. You have them, so I don't have to contribute anything.
Yeah, improve.
That's great stuff. So much to keep doing it and don't stop like everybody else. That's something and then it doesn't happen. Let's hope you grow up a studio, have something there, showing up something, and yeah, let's hope things are gonna grow. And we'll be there to watch you guys grow this thing up.
Yeah, I'm responsible for getting the decor as well, which is why it hasn't happened because
Leadership.
I don't know why. The one who's not a leader, and they're like, do all of these things.
No problem. I'm sure you're gonna get it right.
Sylvia, thank you so much. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. There's a bell icon involved as well. Thank you, Sylvia, for teaching me all of those things. And thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.